Welcome to Midday Prime. In the next 1 hour, we'll bring you all the stories and updates from India and the world. I am Anil Thomas, and we'll update you in the next 60 minutes of all that's happening in the world of business and sports, and we'll get you some interesting stories that are making the headlines. But first up, the big news of this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina jointly inaugurate Maitri Setu. PM launches key infrastructure projects in Tripura, says better connectivity enhances trade, production and livelihood of the citizens. Tripura is now the destination for new investments and new industries. Today is the last day for filing nominations for Phase 1 of the upcoming General Assembly elections of West Bengal and Assam. Seat-sharing negotiations among the political alliances are in the final stages for Puducherry Assembly election. In Tamil Nadu, seat-sharing issue, however, remains still unsettled in the ruling alliance. India crosses 2 crore 30 lakh COVID-19 vaccinations, nearly 20 lakh vaccine doses given in the last 24 hours, highest in a single day till now. Second leg of budget session begins. Parliament starts working in pre-COVID mode, adjourned till 2 p.m. Important legislative business listed in Rajya Sabha today. High-level inquiry ordered in the Kolkata fire tragedy in which 9 people killed. Prime Minister Modi approves an ex gratia of 2 lakh each from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund for the next of kin of those who have lost their lives due to the tragic fire in Kolkata. 50,000 would be given to those seriously injured. United Kingdom reiterates that agricultural reform laws are a domestic matter of India, adds that security forces in a democracy have the right to enforce law and order. US Center for Disease Control and Prevention relaxes COVID norms, says fully inoculated individuals can meet in small groups with other vaccinated people without wearing masks, but should keep wearing them outside the home. And in sports, Juventus and FC Porto will clash again in the second leg of the last leg of the UEFA Champions League. Porto hold a slender lead. Well, let's begin now with the big news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated multiple infrastructure projects in Tripura. They include the Maitri Setu between India and Bangladesh. He also laid the foundation stone for the integrated checkpost at Sabroom. Integrated Command and Control Center built under the Agartala Smart City Mission, state highways and other district roads, 40,978 houses constructed under the PM Awas Yojana were also inaugurated. Foundation stones of National Highway 208 connecting Unakoti district with Khowai district, widening of the existing road from Lichubalang to the airport in Agartala, as well as the development of multi-level car parking and the commercial complex in Agartala were also laid. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister stressed that Maitri Setu will be a new chapter for trade and people-to-people movement.
इस पूरे रीजन को पूर्वी उत्तर पूर्वी भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच एक प्रकार से ट्रेड कॉरिडोर के रूप में विकसित किया जा रहा है। सबरूम और रामगढ़ के बीच सेतु से हमारी मैत्री भी मजबूत हुई है और भारत बांग्लादेश की समृद्धि का कनेक्शन भी जुड़ गया। बीते कुछ वर्षों में भारत बांग्लादेश के बीच लैंड, रेल और वाटर कनेक्टिविटी के लिए जो समझौते जमीन पर उतरे हैं, इस सेतु से वो और मजबूत हुए हैं। इससे त्रिपुरा के साथ साथ दक्षिणी असम, मिजोरम, मणिपुर की, बांग्लादेश और साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के दूसरे देशों से कनेक्टिविटी सशक्त होगी। भारत में ही नहीं, बांग्लादेश में भी इस सेतु से कनेक्टिविटी बेहतर होगी और इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज बढ़ेगी।
Well, with focus on strengthening regional connectivity, Prime Minister said that development of Tripura is high on the priority of the Union government. Tripura's connectivity infrastructure has steadily improved over the past 3 years, be it the airport work, rail link or connecting Tripura to internet via sea work is happening at a fast pace. With the opening of the Feni Bridge, Agartala will become the first Indian city closest to an international seaport. Around 80,000 families have benefited from Pakka houses in Tripura. It is one of the 6 states where new technology is being used in building houses.
त्रिपुरा की कनेक्टिविटी के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में बीते 3 साल में तेजी से सुधार हुआ है। एयरपोर्ट का काम हो या फिर समंदर के रास्ते त्रिपुरा को इंटरनेट से जोड़ने का काम हो, रेल लिंक हो, इनमें तेजी से काम हो रहा है। आज भी 3,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा के जिन प्रोजेक्ट्स का लोकार्पण और शिलान्यास किया गया है, वो हमारे उसी हीरा मॉडल का ही हिस्सा है। बल्कि अब तो वाटरवेज, पोर्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी इसमें जुड़ गया है।
Prime Minister also said Agartala has the potential to become an important center of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India.
अगरतला जैसे शहरों में आत्मनिर्भर भारत के नए सेंटर्स बनने का सामर्थ्य है। आज अगरतला को बेहतर शहर बनाने के लिए अनेक प्रोजेक्ट्स का लोकार्पण और शिलान्यास ऐसे ही प्रयासों का हिस्सा है। नया बना इंटीग्रेटेड कमांड सेंटर शहर की व्यवस्थाओं को एक जगह से स्मार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से हैंडल करने में मदद करेगा।
Prime Minister said that a special package of 600 crores given for the development of thousands of Bru refugees. They will bring a very positive change. This will bring a very positive change in their lives.
हमारे जनजातीय क्षेत्रों में रहने वाले हमारे सभी साथियों और ब्रू शरणार्थियों को सरकार के ऐसे अनेक कदमों से लाभ मिल रहा है। त्रिपुरा के ब्रू शरणार्थियों की समस्याओं को दूर करने के लिए दशकों बाद समाधान ही सरकार के प्रयासों से मिला। हजारों ब्रू साथियों के विकास के लिए दिए गए 600 करोड़ रुपए के विशेष पैकेज से उनके जीवन में बहुत सकारात्मक परिवर्तन आएगा।
While speaking on the occasion of inauguration of the Maitri Setu between India and Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina described the 1.9-kilometer-long bridge that joins Sabroom in India with Ramgarh in Bangladesh as a lifeline for trade between the two countries.
Bridge is very important to the business community of India's northeast region for using the Chattogram seaport. 10 years later, today, the bridge is a reality. This bridge will be a trading lifeline for the northeast of India. As you all know, Bangladesh has already allowed the use of Chattogram and Mongla ports for the movement of goods to and from India. Now, with the opening of the Feni Bridge, movement of goods between West Bengal and the landlocked Indian northeastern states can take place through Bangladesh.
Well, Sheikh Hasina said that political boundaries should not become a hurdle for trade with other countries. She said that the Maitri Setu will not only ensure ease of trade with India, but also with Nepal and Bhutan.
We are creating a new era in South Asia through providing connectivity to India. We are in a region which has remained conservative in opening up and where interregional trade is far below potential. I believe political boundaries should not become physical barriers to trade. We expect the framework that we are inaugurating today will also help Bangladesh to trade more easily, not only with India, but also with Nepal and Bhutan.
Well, for more on that story, we've got two guests. One, Pinakaranjan Chakrabarti, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joining us. Also, our correspondent Rajesh Jha would be standing by from Bangladesh, giving us more updates on that story. Let me come to you, Ambassador, sir, first. Looking at the way things stand, do you feel Bangladesh has a larger role to play, especially in India's, look east policy? It's looking much more expanding purely in terms of Indo-Pacific region too being accommodated here.
Well, there is the bilateral aspect and, of course, the look and act east aspect. Connectivity is a fundamental pillar of trade and commerce and the movement of people. And that is why we have stressed so much of connectivity. And this bridge is a unique one in the sense that it crosses the Feni River, which is the border between Tripura and Bangladesh. And then that's how we are going to, connect the two sides with each other, and this will bring Tripura very close to Chittagong as well. So I think these are some of the factors that have been pushing bilateral relations into this mode. And as far as Act East is concerned, that is also a factor, because if Bangladesh, which has already expressed its desire to join the trilateral highway network between Myanmar, Thailand, and India, that would connect us to the ASEAN countries and beyond. So I think connectivity is so crucial to our whole sort of trade, commerce, movement of people, because that is what is going to bring us prosperity and increase the sort of, the people-to-people contact, business-to-business contact, bring in more investments. Because if you, let's say you build a factory in Bangladesh and you need to send those goods out, or if you build a factory in Tripura, you need to send those goods out if you want to export or market. So I think without connectivity, you can't do that. And that is one of the deterrents that has worked not in favor of the northeastern states, because there was no connectivity, short connectivity that you could use to export your goods, etc. So that is a very important aspect of connectivity. And the world over, if you look, the most connected countries are actually also the most prosperous.
True.
Whereas we have not been connected. Our connectivities were broken in South Asia by the partition. So it's a question of rebuilding those connectivities in many ways. And but now we have political boundaries, so we have to find better ways and different ways of connecting with each other. So
Ambassador Chakrabarti, purely looking at the way India has been, hand-holding or, especially when it comes to building relations, do you somewhere feel, even in this COVID battle, one of the largest consignment of vaccines that were given was extended to our neighbor Bangladesh?
That's correct, yes. So I think that's part of our public diplomacy, part of building bridges. I think if you are a friend, you have to, we have the famous saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So I think that's what we are trying to show and trying to tell everybody, that we are a friend and we are a friend in need. And we have the capacity to export these vaccines. And that is why I think it has been a wonderful effort to export these vaccines to many of the countries, of course, to all our neighborhood, except, of course, Pakistan and China, but to many other countries in the world. And everywhere it has been welcomed. I think this has been a great effort. And I think this should continue as long as we are hit by this pandemic, which is not going to go away so soon. So it's probably going to be an effort that will last 1 or 2 years or even more.
Ambassador Chakravarti, when you purely look at India-Bangladesh relations, there are few sticky points, but all in all, would you say things looking very much positive, and you're optimistic about this cementing further?
If you look at the relationship, the wide canvas of positive, the positive sector is, overshadows any negative sectors that we
Okay.
have. When you are neighbors, you are bound to have a little bit of problems here and there. There are problems. There's water sharing, there's, migration issues, border management, etc., smuggling, all kinds of things are there. But this is part of the, you can't sort of overnight deal and solve with all these issues. So it's a long process. Meanwhile, you build on the positive trends which are mutually supportive and which help both countries increase their trade, investment, people-to-people contact. So I think that is the policy that we have been following. We will deal with the negatives, certainly, when the time comes, and we will resolve them.
Okay. We also got our correspondent there, Prasar Bharati correspondent Rajesh Jha joining us. Good afternoon, sir. How would you look at it, especially people there in Bangladesh? How have they welcomed this connectivity, especially when it comes to taking trade forward between the two countries?
You can see this connectivity issue is widely welcomed even in Bangladesh. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, in her address during the inauguration, she said that the physical boundaries between the two countries should not turn into trade boundaries. And Bangladesh has been keen on improving connectivity between India and Bangladesh, and they have been cooperative all along. I would point out last week when the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, was in Bangladesh, he was asked what are the two key things that you consider to be the cornerstone of India-Bangladesh ties in the next 2 decades. He pointed out that connectivity and people-to-people ties are going to be the most important cornerstones of the future of India-Bangladesh relationship. In the context of what vision Foreign Minister, the External Affairs Minister sketched out, I believe the steps like the Maitri Setu on Feni River and several other initiatives which have been taken up recently, like the opening up of a few rail lines, the transshipment facility from Chattogram to Agartala, and so many other things that are happening on the ground, they actually show the willingness of the Bangladeshi leadership to cooperate, because this is a thing which is mutually beneficial. It is not something which India is doing for its own benefit, and Bangladesh well respects it, and Bangladesh also recognizes that improving connectivity between the two countries is not just going to help India, but it is also going to benefit Bangladesh. Prime Minister Modi also said in his address today that our prosperity are getting interconnected by these steps. This is a beautiful expression, that our prosperities are getting interconnected. That is something which is really appreciated even in the Bangladesh leadership, and it's an important step that we see today.
Rajesh, purely looking at this particular year being very important. First of all, it's a centenary celebration year for Bangladesh. Also 50 years of India-Bangladesh diplomatic relations, this particular year. So in many ways, it's an important year for Bangladesh, and clearly, this particular, bridging ties, especially within neighbors, clearly one step forward when it comes to cementing and, rather getting ties with our neighbors much better and much cordial.
Yes, indeed. The government of India's policy of neighborhood first policy and this Act East policy are getting reflected in its effort at improving ties and taking the historically great ties with Bangladesh to a new level. You see the steps that India took in sending the vaccine for corona to Bangladesh, sending 9 million doses of corona vaccine. That was unbelievably a great gesture, and people of Bangladesh have greatly appreciated that. Other things also, you have seen the contact between India and Bangladesh have remained at a very high level despite the corona pandemic that affected the entire world in the last 1 year, and both of them have been trying hard to take this great friendship to a new level. Okay. And this is going to be further cemented with the forthcoming visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi later in this month, on the occasion of the 50 years of Bangladesh liberation and 50 years of the ties between India and Bangladesh. and 100 years of the birth of the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib. So I think great days are ahead for India-Bangladesh ties, and it would further improve the already strong ties and historic ties between the two countries.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate both gentlemen for taking time out and joining us on Midday Prime. The ambassador as well as Prasar Bharati correspondent Rajesh Shah joining us from Dhaka. Well, moving on now to we've got another correspondent there from Agartala, Sudeep Kat joining us from Agartala for more updates on the story. How does the state of Tripura look at this particular story? The announcements that are made, the connectivity that's been built. There is a lot of connect, especially when it comes to Bangladesh, not purely in terms of people to people movement, but also in terms of trade and also culture.
Look, today from morning, only hearing one word, like from everyone who was present in that Tripura is becoming a trading hub. Why is that? Shabroom, that Maitri Setu, Shabroom Ramnagar, it's just from Shabroom it is just 80 kilometers where you will have Chittagong port.
Okay.
So earlier it was like from Delhi to Calcutta, Calcutta to Tripura. Now that has come down.
Okay.
And what has happened is that for states like smaller towns in South and Mizoram.
Okay.
Okay, they will be well connected now, and trading will get a new definition with
Okay.
And another very important thing I want to add is that
Okay.
Prime Minister of Bangladesh said that
Well, I believe we have lost our correspondent there. Some audio glitch there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us with those updates there on that particular story there. Well, let's now move on to our developing story. Well, first up, the second session of the second part of the budget session and Rajya Sabha proceedings were adjourned twice till afternoon after opposition parties led by Congress insisted on a discussion on the fuel price rise. Congress MPs, opposition leaders trooped into the well of the House, while Samajwadi Party and the Aam Aadmi Party members stood at their places and demanded for discussion on the rise in fuel prices. Lok Sabha also witnessed disruptions on the issue of a separate discussion on a fuel price hike. The lower house was also adjourned twice earlier today. Meanwhile, both the houses have been adjourned for the day, and our correspondent Vikas Sarthi tracking Parliament for us, joining us with more updates. Vikas, how has been the day, this particular day in Parliament? Clearly, disruptions there taking place time and again. Now, this particular day purely being washed out. But how do you see, the happenings over the day?
Right, Anil, on the second day also, both the houses were disrupted time and again by the opposition MPs, and despite the request from the chair in both the houses, the house could not be conducted, and after the much ruckus in both houses have been adjourned till tomorrow. In the morning, in fact, the chair requested opposition MPs, especially the LOP, to allow the chair to conduct the house. Some of the members wanted an immediate discussion on rising petroleum products prices, and they said that they have sent a request under Rule 267 to the chairman that normal functioning must be suspended and immediate discussion must be convened on petroleum prices. Though the chair informed the members that a decision has been taken on their request, and this discussion will be allowed when Parliament discusses the working of particular ministry, as well as during the discussion on finance bill, members can raise their issues at that point in time. But opposition MPs started shouting slogans in both the houses, and after frequent disruptions, both houses have to be adjourned for tomorrow.
Okay. Also, because throw some light on the particular rule you made a mention about Rule 267 that the opposition has been asking for a discussion on this particular rising fuel prices. What's Rule 267? When the chairman has very clearly stated that it could be allowed, but at an appropriate time.
Right, Anil. 267 allows an MP to seek a request from the chairman that the normal functioning of the House must be suspended, and discussion must be allowed on that particular subject which has been raised by the concerned member of Parliament. Though these requests were made by at least 4 MPs, but chairman said that they will certainly be allowed when discussion takes place on the functioning of Ministry of Petroleum or during the discussion on finance bill. But members were not ready to hear the chair, and later on, after the frequent disruption, when deputy chairman was in the chair in Rajya Sabha, he said that chairman has taken a decision and he has no power to overrule that ruling. So members should wait when they will be allowed to raise this particular topic in both the houses. But again, the opposition MPs were not in the mood to allow both the houses to continue in normal functioning. In fact, when Rajya Sabha was lastly adjourned, Law Minister made a particular request to the LOP that that this particular bill, Arbitration and Conciliation Bill 2021, is very important for common man, and at least this bill must be allowed to be debated and discussed. But again, members were not agreed to take part in discussion.
Okay, one quick word before I let you go. Firstly, this is the first day when we are at a pre-COVID level, when Parliament is began normally. Also, there was a lot of buzz with regards to the elections there in 4 states and union territories. Do you somewhere see that the 1 month long schedule, especially for the second part of budget session, getting curtailed, or a likelihood of that getting curtailed?
Well, Anil, there is a likelihood. In fact, Information and Broadcasting Minister said that on the one hand, these leader of opposition parties are requesting that the duration must be curtailed due to ongoing assembly elections. Still, they are not allowing House to work properly. So definitely, the requests have been made to the chairman Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha Speaker to curtail the duration of the second leg of budget session. But official announcement has not been made yet. But members from several parties have approached both the chairs, and these members have requested to cut short the duration of second leg of budget session.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. Both the Houses of Parliament, meanwhile, have been adjourned for the day, and let's now move ahead and take a look at our national prime segment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release 11 volumes of manuscript of commentaries by 21 scholars on shlokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita today. In general, the practice with Srimad Bhagavad Gita is to present the text with a single commentary. For the first time, many of the key commentaries by celebrated Indian scholars are being brought together for achieving a comprehensive and comparative appreciation of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The manuscript, published by the Dharma Trust, is written with extraordinary variety and nuance of Indian calligraphy, ranging from Shankar Bhasha to Bhashan Vadu. Dr. Sharan Singh is the chairman trustee of the Dharma Trust, Jammu and Kashmir. While moving to elections, today is the last day for filing nominations for the first phase of assembly elections in West Bengal and Assam. Nomination papers will be screened tomorrow. Names can be withdrawn by the 12th of March. In this phase, elections will be held in 30 constituencies of West Bengal and 47 constituencies of Assam on the 27th of this month. Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal has filed his nomination from Majoli Assembly seat in Assam. Well, for more on that story, we are... Well, the Chief Minister, the sitting Chief Minister of Assam, they're filing his nomination papers from Majoli. The first phase of elections on the 27th of March. Assam goes to polls in 3 phases, while the counting of votes will take place on the 2nd of May. Well, for more on the story, we've got our correspondent Yogesh Sheetal joining us from Guwahati for more updates on the phone line. Yogesh, good afternoon. No, Yogesh is there. We also got Anibrito joining us from West Bengal, Kolkata rather. Good afternoon to both the gentlemen. Let me come to you, Yogesh, first. The Chief Minister filing the nomination papers, but are the decks clear when it comes to, getting those political arithmetic right, between the two political parties there when it comes to their partners, alliance partners in this particular elections in Assam?
A very good question, Anil. See, as far as these 47 constituencies are concerned, see, out of 47, 42 constituencies are located in the upper Assam and rest 5 constituencies are in the northern areas. Now, what happened in 2016, just talking about the previous elections, BJP and its allies, preferably they had managed to retain all the constituencies, majority of constituencies, and that was the key reason, and that's why it can be said that for the first election will be very decisive, because if any party, especially talking about the ruling BJP, if they are successfully retaining power in these constituencies, then the further way would be more easier. Now coming to other things, as far as the election commissions have no doubt have made a significant arrangements in view of COVID-19. We know that what happened in Bihar elections also, the people, voters beyond 80, they had been given special arrangements were provided to them in terms of ballot paper. Also in Assam elections, we have seen that 3 categories have been introduced, like for Divyangjan, for senior citizens beyond 80, and also for the people who are suspected to COVID-19. So special arrangements have been done for them. These arrangements would be optional. If they want to come out to cast their vote, they are welcome there. But if they don't want to come out to cast their votes, then ballot paper will be provided to them. Now we have Rahul Das, who is the joint CEO, Chief Electoral Officer in Assam. Sir, what are the arrangements? What would you like to comment in terms of voters and also in terms of COVID-19? What are the arrangements that have been put on place?
Yes, as per ECI instructions, this office, CEO office, has made extensive awareness on these 3 issues, basically on the 80 plus, Divyang, and the COVID-19 patient. We have done awareness everywhere. We have done special press meet for the same, and asked all the districts to conduct press conference for creating the awareness on these 3 issues, basically, so that they can come out. This is, though this is an optional facility that has been, because we have many PWD voters, around 290,000 PWD voters. We have around 135,000, around like that, 135,000, more than 289,000. Significant
numbers are.
And in the first phase, it is we got around 24%, almost approximately 24%, 30%. Optional this thing.
Also, Anil, let me tell you that we know that Assam in terms of issues. Yeah, Anil.
Okay, I'll ask you to hold your thoughts there, Yogesh. Let me go across to Anibrito there. Anibrito also there joining us from West Bengal. Anibrito, is this battle all about Nandigram? We hear all about Nandigram and the battle around Nandigram. But is the battle for West Bengal, one of the biggest that the sitting government there is facing at this point of time?
Yes, certainly Nandigram is indeed the hot spot this time in election and assembly election in West Bengal, because as you know, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee this time has chosen to contest from Nandigram, while his contender will be one who was his close ally, was Shubhendu Adhikari. So it's largely to be seen what happens in Nandigram, because Mamata Banerjee is going to Nandigram today. Tomorrow she will file a nomination. As you know, Anil, today is the last day of the filing of nomination for the first phase election in West Bengal, and campaigning is in full swing, and particularly this time the BJP is the main contender of Trinamool Congress. Out of the 44 seats in Jungle Mahal, 23 alone will go in the first phase.
Okay.
So all the seats in Jhargram and Purulia will happen to take place in the first phase election. The
Okay.
thing is that Jungle Mahal, as you know, what was earlier, the left-wing extremists used to dominate this part. It was at the time the left rule. Trinamool Congress ended, left rule in 2011. Thereafter, it built up impregnable fortress in Jungle Mahal area. And but we have seen in the 2019 Lok Sabha election, BJP has captured all the Lok Sabha seats in Jungle Mahal. So this time people are eyeing, what happens this time in assembly election, because BJP has 200 plus seats in mind, and they are indeed in a sniffing distance from Trinamool Congress. Because in Lok Sabha election we have found that the BJP has got almost 20%, 40% plus seat, while Trinamool Congress had only 43% seat. So, as it is being said, after 2011, people are not averse to experiment this time anything new. And saffron surge, what we are witnessing everywhere, now it's largely to be seen how it catapults in the election. But election, campaigning is in full swing, and as the day is progressing, it's, hello.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you both gentlemen for joining us. I know you've got another, 2 months of action packed there out in the sun, but it's going to be interesting to see how things are moving, especially when it comes to election there in the east. Staying with elections, but heading down south in Tamil Nadu, where the seat-sharing negotiations among the political alliances are in final stages for Puducherry Assembly election. Former Chief Minister of the Union Territory, V. Narayanaswamy, said on Monday that the number of assembly seats to be contested by the Congress and DMK in Puducherry will be finalized today. Narayanaswamy said that the Congress would hold separate discussions with the CPI, CPIM and the VCK on seats sharing. In Tamil Nadu too, the seat sharing issue, however, remains still unsettled in the ruling alliance. The PMK of S. Ramdas, the Tamil Mahila Congress and other small parties are still negotiating their seat sharing with the AIADMK. Tamil Nadu will vote to elect 234 MLAs in a single phase of polling on the 6th of April. Meanwhile, the Vijaykanth-led Desiya Murukhu Dravida Kanagan, that's DMDAK, has quit the AIADMK BJP alliance in Tamil Nadu. The party cites the non-allocation of expected seats or constituencies as the reason behind them leaving the alliance. In a letter, they said that after 3 rounds of negotiations with the AIADMK and the BJP alliance, they have decided to quit the alliance in the upcoming assembly elections. So things not looking good, especially when it comes to alliance there down south, but parties still firming up and still getting their act together before election takes place in a single phase on the 6th of April in Tamil Nadu. Well, moving on now to taking a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the country. As per the Union Health Ministry, 16,595 recoveries being recorded in the last 24 hours, taking that cumulative total of recovered patients in India to 1,899,394. With this, the recovery rate in India currently stands at 96.93%. I beg your pardon. India's total active caseload stands at 1,87,000 today, and the current present active caseload constitutes just 1.67% of the total positive cases in our country. The fatality rate in India currently stands at 1.40%. Well, now moving to vaccination and the number of vaccinations done in our country. Over 2 crore 30 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses being administered so far in India. Nearly 20 lakh vaccine doses being given in a single day on Monday. That's the 8th of March, which was the highest till date. Meanwhile, Maharashtra, Kerala, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu have been reporting a surge in the COVID daily new cases. Recently, the centre rushed a high-level public health team to Maharashtra and Punjab to assist in COVID-19 control and containment measures in view of the recent spike in cases in these states. The centre is closely monitoring the vaccine supply in all states and union territories. There have been some news reports suggesting impending shortage of COVID-19 vaccine doses in Rajasthan. The factual position is that there is no shortage of COVID-19 vaccine with the state at present. Rajasthan has been supplied 37,61,000 doses and has consumed only 24,28,000 doses till 8th of March night. The central government is regularly monitoring availability of vaccine supply in all states and union territories and providing the doses as per the requirements and consumption pattern. Indian naval ship Karanj, which is the third of the 6 Scorpene-class submarines, will be commissioned tomorrow in Mumbai. INS Kalavari and INS Kanderi are the 2 submarines of the class which have already been commissioned into service. The state-of-the-art technology used in Scorpene class has superior stealth features such as advanced acoustic silencing techniques, low radiated noise levels, and ability to launch crippling attacks with precision-guided weapons on board. The submarine can attack through launching the torpedoes and anti-ship missiles while underwater or on the surface. The machines are being constructed by shipbuilder Mazagon Dock Limited. Karanj, which is completely built indigenously, is a brilliant example of Make in India. Well, in midday prime, time now for news and updates from the world of business. Well, I've got Ajay Mishra, my correspondent, standing by to give us an update. Ajay, please take it forward.
Thanks very much, Anil. Let's start with the stock market first. The domestic equity market benchmark BSE Sensex and Nifty 50 were trading volatile in afternoon deals on Tuesday, tracking mixed Asian cues. BSE Sensex was hovering around 50,500, while the Nifty 50 index gave up 15,000 mark. The top BSE Sensex gainers were Kotak Mahindra Bank, SDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Asian Paints, Axis Bank and Housing Development Finance Corporation, among others. On the flip side, ONGC, Bharti Airtel, Power Grid Corporation of India, Reliance Industries, TCS and HUL were among top index laggers. Right now, we can see BPCL, IOC and GAIL are the laggers, down between 3 to 5% as of now. And life insurance companies have gained in today's trades because the premium collection has been very good going in the last quarter. Now moving on to the GST compensation shortfall to states have reached 1,06,000 crore rupees. This is 96% of the total dues to the state governments. The Ministry of Finance has released the 19th weekly installment of 2,104 crore rupees to the states on Monday to meet the GST compensation shortfall. The Government of India has set up a special borrowing window in October 2020 to meet the estimated shortfall of 1,10,000 crore rupees in revenue arising on account of implementation of GST. The borrowings are being done through the special window by the Government of India on behalf of the states and UTs. The total vehicle retail sale in the month of February dipped 13.43% year-on-year, according to the vehicle registration data released by the industry body Federation of Automobile Dealers Association of India, FADA. The passenger vehicle showed double-digit growth at 10.59% year-on-year. The growth was majorly due to the low base of last year, as India had started transitioning from BS4 to BS6 emission norms, FADA said in a release. On a year-on-year basis, two-wheeler, three-wheeler and commercial vehicles registrations continued their fall by 16%, 49% and almost 30%. The sale of tractors continued their positive momentum by growing 19% year-on-year, the data I have shown. That's all in the Business Prime. Back to you, Anil.
Well, thank you, Ajay, for those updates there from the world of business. Well, let's now take a look at what's making news across the globe. United Kingdom has reiterated that agricultural reform laws are a domestic matter of India and that the security forces in a democracy have the right to enforce law and order. UK's Minister of State for Asia, Nigel Adams, during a debate in Parliament said the agricultural policy is a domestic matter for the Indian government. He further said that the UK government firmly believes that freedom of speech and the right for peaceful protest are vital to any democracy, but we also must accept that if a protest crosses the line into illegality, security forces in a democracy have the right to enforce law and order. Adams was responding in a debate held on the issue of peaceful protest and press freedoms in India on Monday. A quick look on an update from Myanmar, where the situation is worsening as hundreds of protesters who have been trapped by security forces in a district in Yangon overnight have been able to get out. The protesters were released after calls from Western powers and the United Nations for them to be allowed to leave. Thousands of people defied a nighttime curfew to take to the streets of Myanmar's main city in support of the youths in the Shangchuang district, where they had been holding a daily protest against the Feb 1 coup. Myanmar police had on Monday been raiding houses in the area looking for people who were from outside the district. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had earlier called for maximum restraint and the safe release of all protesters without violence or arrest, and a call echoed by the US and British embassies in Myanmar. Demonstrations have been held daily for more than a month to demand the release of Aung San Suu Kyi and respect for the election of her National League for Democracy party, which had won the elections last year in November. Well, let's now take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world on how things are. So far, over 11 crore 77 lakh people have contracted COVID-19 globally, while the tally of recoveries stand over 9 crore 34 lakh people recovering from COVID-19. It has also claimed the life of 26 lakh 12,000 people worldwide. United States continues to be the worst affected by the pandemic, both in terms of infections and fatalities. In terms of infections, 2 crores 97 lakhs. In terms of death, the country's fatalities have now crossed 5 lakh 38,000. US Center for Disease Control and Prevention released a new guidelines for people fully vaccinated against COVID-19. According to the new guidelines, fully vaccinated people can safely visit with other vaccinated people and small groups of unvaccinated people in some circumstances. But there are still important matters and important safety precautions that need to be followed. The CDC advised fully vaccinated people that they should continue with many precautions, such as avoiding medium and large-sized in-person gatherings, wearing masks when visiting with unvaccinated people from multiple households, or wearing masks when people who are at risk of severe COVID-19. The recommendations come as about 30 million people have been fully inoculated for COVID-19 vaccines in US. Over 58 million adults have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
CDC's new guidance also recommends that fully vaccinated people do not need quarantine or get tested following a known exposure to someone with COVID-19 as long as they are asymptomatic. At this time, the CDC is not adjusting current guidance on travel. We believe these new recommendations are an important first step in our efforts to resume everyday
$1 trillion COVID-19 relief package by Wednesday. The Senate passed its version of the bill after a marathon overnight vote on Saturday. The Senate version eliminated or pared back some provisions included in the House bill, which had increased the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour and expanded job loss assistance through August 29th. Now that it has passed the Senate, it must be approved again by the House before it can make its way to Biden's desk and be signed into law. Well, it's time now to get stories from the world of sports. Well, we've got Deepika standing by to give us more updates. Good afternoon. Take it over.
Good afternoon, Anil. Let's take a quick look at sports happenings of the hour. In cricket, Indian women's team to play their first test match after 2014. The England and Wales Cricket Board and the BCCI are keen on hosting a test match between India and England's women's team around June 2021, almost at the same time when India's men's team will be up against New Zealand in the final of the inaugural edition of the World Test Championship. The date and venue of the test match between the women's cricket team of India and England are yet to be decided, as the England board is working out the schedule of the women's team, who are also scheduled to play against South Africa and New Zealand in both the ODI and T20 series. In football, yet another match of second leg of last 16, Borussia Dortmund will take on Seville at the Westfalenstadion. Both teams have struggled in recent weeks and have a point to prove going into this game. The first leg between the two teams saw Seville take an early lead. Borussia Dortmund staged a stunning comeback and came away with a 3-2 victory. Seville have lost 4 out of their last 5 games in all competitions and will have to play out of their skins this week. Dortmund are in the best shape at the moment and should be able to win this game. And Juventus and FC Porto will clash against in the second leg of last 16 of UEFA Champions League at Allianz Stadium today. Juventus would look forward to overturn a first leg defeat to avoid a shocking exit at the hands of Porto in the Champions League. On the other hand, Porto is ready to repeat the history, whereas fans are expecting the match to be a cracker one. The last time Porto won away from home in the Champions League knockout stages was the year when they won the competition in 2002 and 3. And that's all in the sports update. Over to you, Anil.
Thank you, Deepika. Let's now move on to our next segment where we look at Live Prime and where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation. Stories that bring smiles, stories that are changing lives. Well, NASA's Perseverance rover is on a mission to explore the surface of the planet Mars, and scientists hunting for signs of ancient life on the distant planet are using the data gathered on a mission much closer to home at a lake in southwest Turkey. Lake Salda in Turkey's southwestern Burdur province holds much more than what meets the eye. According to NASA, due to its mineral composition and geology, this unique tectonic lake resembles the Jezero crater of Mars. The day after the launch of the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover on July 30th, NASA's Earth Observatory announced that the researchers are using their understanding of Lake Salda to help guide the Mars 2020 mission, which has dropped the Perseverance rover into the crater to search for signs of ancient life. Well, Californian ladies marked the International Women's Day by surfing away pandemic blues on their boogie boards. Ranging between the ages of 40 to 95, some of the women have been riding the surf together for more than 20 years. The boogie boarding group was founded by Fran Dyer and some of her friends after she moved to the area after retirement and wanted to make friends and stay active. Celebrated on March 8th, International Women's Day has been recognized since the early 1900s to inspire women and acknowledge their contributions. Well, 46 mushers and their teams of huskies dashed off into the Alaska wilderness in a socially distant start to the annual Inaugurates Trail sledge dog race, embarking on a course drastically altered by the pandemic. The starting gate of the 2021 event was placed off limits to the usual crowds of cheering spectators, and few, if any, fans are expected along the shortened route for this year's 49th running of the world's most famous sled dog marathon. The staggered launch of the race began with veteran Aaron Peck of the Grand Prix, Alberta, Canada, followed by rivals charging onto the tail, one team at a time. Well, love the anticipation and the excitement, especially in the snow, raring to go in the post-COVID world. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of News. Thanks for watching. You take good care of yourself. Have a safe and wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.